Breaking news, everyone. Trump just made massive change that is going to affect credit. Now, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but banks been closing down accounts abruptly and without notice all across the country.
Sanjuski. True. I do this for the poor. I do this for the less fortunate. Justice now when I need them beaten. 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 Mr. Justice now when I need them beaten.
Welcome guys to the History Shovel channel. Today we're gonna break down a video I see going around, and there's several videos on TikTok where people are complaining that their accounts are being shut down abruptly and they can't access their money, and everybody is panicking, because of the current climate. I mean, this is nothing new or strange, this type of banking behavior of clamping down accounts. Now, I am going to give you some reasons as to why a bank would shut down a person's account. Well, if there are any nefarious reasons afoot, well, we'll get to the bottom of it eventually. So we're gonna run through this video and then I'm gonna break down the fullness.
Breaking news, everyone. Trump just made massive change that is going to affect credit. Now, I don't know if you guys have been seeing this, but banks been closing down accounts abruptly and without notice all across the country.
So I first started out with Chase, and for whatever reason, they decided to close my account and blacklist me and force me to pay all the charges I put on the credit card. So that was absolutely terrifying because it was out of nowhere. I have good credit, and it was just, they couldn't even explain to me why it happened. They just decided to close everything.
They're not communicating with us. About 12:45 p.m. Eastern time today, customers of Bank of America system was down. They were trying to access their bank accounts, but something called the down detector that collects data on outages started detecting that the services were down and people were unable to actually see their balances. Not my balance. Not this world food economy. $1,000 when you go to the grocery store and I can't access my balance.
It's been so bad. Massive numbers of people were unable to access their bank account with all of their savings.
No, it just says UCF code, and they didn't know what that meant.
Okay, so is there a reference number for the escalation? Because you said you want to escalate it?
No, it's just an internal email. So I can send it. And I'll reach out to you. I have your phone.
Okay, so Thursday.
So this is day 16 that Chase Bank has decided to close my account and freeze all my funds without any explanation. Not only is this unprofessional, but this is very unethical.
Now, the Trump administration have looked into the issue because, if you remember, his wife's bank account was shut down, also his son, and other Republican lawmakers and other conservatives that felt that they were targeted and their accounts was abruptly shut down. And you know what? The banks admitted that they've been pushing a lot of people out of the banking system, and it's been for a reason, but it wasn't over their political views. There's something else in the works. And we're going to jump in this article so you can understand why this has been happening. Now, in this article, JP Morgan Chase CEO admits U.S. banks push people out of the system after Trump hammers Chase, Bank of America over abrupt account termination. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon is addressing the controversy over how and why some American citizens and businesses are abruptly finding themselves kicked out of the banking system. After meeting with Republican lawmakers in Washington, D.C. on the subject of debanking, Dimon told reporters that Chase never drops customers over religious or political affiliations. Instead, Dimon said unclear federal guidelines, especially around the anti-money laundering rules, force banks to deny services out of compliant fears, reported Yahoo Finance. When squarely asked if regulations are to blame for debanking, Dimon responded pretty much, yeah. There are a lot of things that should be fixed. Anti-money laundering laws are extraordinary, and it does cause a lot of people to be pushed out of the system because banks were afraid of being sued, fined, because after the fact, something goes wrong, coulda, woulda, shoulda, you could pay $1 billion. Dimon remarks come after President Trump hammered Bank of America and JP Morgan Chase during a virtual World Economic Forum session, accusing them of wrongly denying conservatives access to bank accounts. Now, the rules that they are concerned about connected to the anti-money laundering rules is the BOI rule. Now, if you don't understand what BOI is, let me give you this breakdown. On January the 1st, 2024, the CTA introduced requirements around beneficial ownership transparency. It developed a new category of entities required to comply with the law as reporting companies and set out requirement for these companies to keep records of their shareholders or ultimate beneficial owners, UBOS, and reporting this information and subsequent updates to FinCEN. A beneficial owner is an individual who owns or controls directly or indirectly at least 25% of ownership interest or exercise supplemental control over the entity. Beneficial ownership information includes BOI, full name, date of birth, current address, and distinct identification number. In November 2023, FinCEN issued a rule detailing on how to use the entity FinCEN identifier to report BOI, and 3 conditions are met. Now, with this rule, any beneficial owner, like if you had an LLC that you weren't even using, or if you started a new LLC after January 1st, 2024, you only had 30 days to register a officer or your name, if you're a single member LLC, to the BOI. Now, they did extend that in September of 2024 to give LLCs or any established corporation at least an additional 90 days. Now, for those that had LLCs that was established before January 1st, 2024, you had until January 1st, 2025 in order to register to the BOI. Now, if you did not do that, you had the following stiff penalties and fines, and it could even lead you to jail time. Here is the penalties as follows. Company directors who do not comply could pay up to $500 per day, up to $10,000, and face jail time of up to 2 years. So as you can see, you could be subject to jail time up to 2 years and fine up to $500 a day to the max of $10,000 just for being a person that had that just LLC you haven't been doing anything with, you established, or if you are operating in that LLC, you could face those penalties and fines. And so the banks got trigger happy and start kicking people out of the system. And they were doing all of this even last year with suspicious activity and with the rule changes. This is why a lot of shutdowns happened to business accounts and personal accounts for this ruling, because the banks didn't want to get sued. Now, with this rule, it really kind of penalized small business owners, because if you were a business with more than 21 employees, you didn't have to comply to this rule. So this really stopped small business owners, and this was actually going to be detrimental, because if you look at it like this, when it comes down to business credit, one of the benefits of you being a small business owner, if your credit is in line, you can actually get lines of credit with your LLC, and you can personally guarantee it, but it doesn't show up on your personal credit reports. Now, with you having to report that you're an owner of this company, and if you have multiple LLCs, now the banks can see the outstanding debt that these businesses have assigned towards you, and this can stop you on your personal side from getting your own personal loans, even though you have an outside business that should be able to operate under its own EIN. You're just the officer for that company running this business. And if you have with that company getting like business lines of credit, especially when you go over $100,000, you can get UCC liens put on that business, and now your name is connected to it. It could stop you from getting funding for other LLCs you may have that's totally separate, or your own personal lending, which if you're doing business, you want to separate the two. It should not intertwine, especially for tax purposes. So this made it hard for small business owners like you and me, or somebody to get started, and really stop us from competing to qualify for capital, when you have big corporations that didn't have to worry about this rule, and they can get all the capital, and it limits the competition in the market, making prices higher for consumers because they don't have more options. But Trump have recently made a change. As of yesterday, the administration, they have put a pause on this. Now, this is going to be a major win for small business owners because this is a great opportunity for people even like yourself. If you want to really go ahead and clean up your credit, it is best for you to operate on the business side of credit because those balances do not show up on your personal credit report, giving you the ability to go and get your own personal loans and keep your credit score high because that utilization do not show on your personal side, and you can get more business lines of credit. Now, with my elite credit system, one of my users, Sean, he went from a 612 credit score all the way with his credit scores over 770, and now he's at an 803, and he went through my business credit program, and he was able now to get business credit. So he was able to take advantage of that, and you need to too to get on the business side of things. This is why you guys constantly have problems with your credit scores going up and down. It is wise if you start a side business or start a business operation and build business credit, because that entity is its own self. So it should not be showing up on your personal credit. And now with this rule changing up, where Trump is now pushing this back, eliminating this requirement only now for foreign companies. This is going to be a great win for small business owners and people like you and me who need to get access to credit to be able to compete. Another great thing about business credit, even if you're starting off, you can project on those applications on how much that business is going to make. And generally for credit cards, then the company gives you at least 15% of that projected income to 8%. So unlike your personal credit cards, where you got to talk about your annual income, and this is based on the income you're making now, with business credit cards, you can project. So if you are a trunking company or a lawn care company, you can look at the average annual income of the businesses in that area. And another great thing, this was going to interfere with people getting shelf corporations. And why is shelf corporations important? Because with shelf corporations, many banks and lenders want to see that you, to get a loan from them as a business, be in business for at least 2 years. And a lot of times with government contracts, a gentleman may know how to do some kind of work as far as masonry or even electrician work, but for some of those municipalities and government contracts for you to bid on, they want to see that business been open for 2 to 3 years. And if you're just starting off, that's some business you can't get into. So getting a shelf corporation and buying that and setting it up right, because you want to make sure that you're getting it from certain states. And when you change over that ownership, that change is not seen. Or if you buy that shelf corp and you make that change improperly and it's seen that it changed ownership, the banks consider that as a brand new business. So it's certain ways that you need to do that in order for that to work for you. And you got to, know what you know when you're buying shelf corps, because, you could be on the hook by buying that business for somebody else if they have some tax liabilities. And it's legal because people buy businesses all the time. So hopefully this information was helpful. If you have any questions or comments.
Okay, let's talk about the overview on the banks. In recent years, several banks, including major institutions like Chase Bank, have been reported to close customer accounts for various reasons. As you see, Chase Bank was prominent in her vlog. These closures can lead to significant distress for customers who suddenly find themselves without access to their funds. Now, understanding the reason behind these actions and the implications for customers is very crucial. Banks are required to comply with numerous regulations aimed at preventing fraud, money laundering, or other illegal activities. If a bank suspects that an account is being used for illicit purposes, or if there are discrepancies in the information provided by the account holder, they may choose to close the account as a precautionary measure. Financial institutions assess risk continuously. If an account exhibits unusual activities such as large deposits followed by rapid withdrawals or transactions that do not align with the customer's known behavior, the bank may flag this as suspicious and opt to close the account. Similarly to if you get an alert on your phone that your card is being used or on your email. So those measures are set up to protect the consumers. Certain behaviors can trigger account closures. For instance, repeated overdrafts, failure to maintain minimum balances, or abusive behavior towards bank staff are one of the reasons that can lead to banks terminating your relationships. Banks periodically update their policies regarding account management and customer eligibility. Now, changes in terms of service or banking policies might result in some accounts being closed if they no longer meet the new criteria. Do you understand that? Banks update their policies regarding account management and customer eligibility, meaning if you are not eligible, if you don't pass certain requirements, then obviously they're going to terminate you. Chase Bank has faced several scrutiny over its practices related to account closures. But the questions many are asking, are these banks being pressured, or is just normal banking policies why persons are being shut out of their accounts? Are the persons being shut out, are they giving the full backstory? Or based on what's going on, it's easier to run with a narrative? And I urge everybody to just fact check, fact check. When customers inquire about closures, responses from Chase representative can vary widely. Some customers report receiving a vague explanation or no explanation at all, which exacerbates frustration and confusion. Chase operates under federal regulations that allow them considerable discretion in managing accounts. While customers have rights under consumer protection laws, banks also have the right to refuse service based on their internal policies and risk assessment. The closure of bank accounts can have serious implications for individuals. Immediate access to funds is often compromised when an account is closed unexpectedly. This can create financial strain, especially if direct deposits are involved or if bills are pending payment, because you gotta understand, most people live from paycheck to paycheck. Remember, only 1% of the population are wealthy. The rest of us are scraping to survive, struggling to make ends meet. So we live from paycheck to paycheck. Now, one failure to receive a paycheck when it is due, because remember, before we even get it, it's all planned out. And now any form of stoppages are, hey, we ain't got nothing else to fill that gap. What if a person is disabled and they can't work? They depend on that paycheck, and it comes to the bank and the bank shuts it down. And you gotta remember, several things are being whispered. So we don't know what is happening. We really don't know. While closing a bank account does not directly impact credit scores, it can affect financial stability and lead to mispayments on loans or credit cards if funds are inaccessible. Customers who experience account closures may find it challenging to open new accounts at other banks due to potential red flags raised during background checks conducted by financial institutions. Yes, it's one network, just like the casino. In Vegas, when one throw you out, trust me, all of them know. Once you go to the gate, show your ID, boom, now you can't come in here. I'm sorry, you did something down the road, down by da. While banks like Chase have legitimate reasons for closing accounts ranging from regulatory compliance issues to risk management, these actions can significantly impact customers' lives and finances. It's essential for consumers to understand their rights and always seek clarity from their banks regarding any actions taken against their account. But as indicated earlier, sometimes when the consumer calls the bank, they get the runaround and they can't access the account to see why their accounts were closed down. So the truth is there hidden in the gray area, but I'm certain it will come to light. In light of recent discussion regarding banks closing accounts, particularly with Chase and others, it's essential to explore options that empower you financially, meaning check other banks. Have you considered transitioning to a solution that blends traditional banking with cryptocurrency capabilities. Oh, that's a whole new kind of realm. I'm not even going to go over there. With Unbank's Black Card, you can unlock a future where you manage your finances on your terms. Innovative debit cards allow you effortless. I am not going to say one more thing because I'm not. But anyway, I hope you got a full overview and understanding of how the inner workings of the bank operates, although we are still digging further. So please subscribe, leave a comment and like, okay? But we're gonna bring you more on this, and check out the other videos, and check out True Island Stories for our major real True Island stories.
Pepper, you know the real G thing, huh? How I grow up, sometime the road tough, side slow. Real patriots never buck, never fall. How they get around, that's why. Back from the boy, who not do that. Boy, who no can't tell with joy, who no boy. Who from your soul don't know a wrong boy. Yo, and a man bust a shot him off a pack up and boy. Pointed pon him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, no assumption, I saw the ground run, yeah. Power, married to corruption, criminal, bred from limited options. 10 generation, I see the said someone wanted man will live long. Name one, wings forever bury with no done. Name one, and good honest politician. Name one, and get a youth resilient. Back from the boy who no do that. Boy, who no can't tell with joy. Who no boy, who from your soul don't know a wrong boy. Yo, a man better boy. And a man bust a shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, yo, a man better. Things risky, fit the misfit. Death rate fit the logistic. Chris, I want the biscuit. Eight of crackers with the whiskey. You're not listening. Crime live here, so it's not visiting. Visitors, careful, you know what the business is. Murder, plunder, pillaging, bloodshed in all the villages. You name it, yo, we live in it. Get rich, I do a special delivery. Nightmare, tormented images. Vengeance, bloody cycle continuing, but know you seek that, but it's no revenge. Looking at the mirror, there is no different. Man, we full of, hey, and we know we friends back from the boy, who no do that. Boy, who no can't tell with joy, who no boy. Who from your soul don't know what wrong, boy. Yup, now a man better. Any man bust no shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. None of that, yo, a man better. No assumption, I saw the ground run. Power, married to corruption. Criminal, bred from limited options. 10 generation, passing the said someone wanted man will live long. Name one, wings a fella with no name one. One honest politician, name one who. And get a youth resilient. Back from the boy who no do that. Boy, can't kill with jaw on the back. Boy, who from your soul don't know what wrong boy. Yo, a man better boy. Any man bust a shot him off a back up and boy. Pointed on him head back and boy. Pop off him strap on him friend him for door. But none of that, yo, you know the thing going on, suck a seat up a beat, you know. Hey man, take it to man. Boy, man. To them pepper.